Я Майк Вивисектор из группы Green Hawk. Слушайте нас на Doom Tom.
This is the Doomtombpodcast, the podcast for all things stoner, doom, and sludge. My name is Chris. I am your host, and today we have the creator of the Swamp Records and Fuzzy Cracklins presents none other than the man himself, Fuzzy. Let's hear the interview. You know, very recently I got a chance to have a great talk with this man. And, we've started this relationship of sorts, and I needed to get him on the podcast. He has this great thing that he has created, and we're going to have a nice long talk about it. Here's Fuzzy from Fuzzy Cracklins. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing great, Chris. How are you doing today, man?
Great, man. You know, hey, another great day. I'm in Arizona. It looks beautiful out. It's sunshiny, and it's kind of in the early morning right now. So let's start breaking this down. What this Fuzzy Cracklins is, and how you curate what you have, and what the releases are. We're going to go through that. We've got to talk about the Swamp Krewe. That subscription process. It is that I just got my first one. I thought it was killer looking. Let's start out with just right down to the brass tacks here. When you were growing up, what did you start listening to?
Well, first of all, I got to say thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Huge fan. Your interviews are totally killer. So just got to get that out there first. Well, okay, so I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area in the 70s, and literally there was so much incredible music just at that time and in that area. We had a guy named Bill Graham, and he had a company called Bill Graham Presents, which is whose company name I ripped off when I picked Fuzzy Cracklins Presents. And he brought every band in the world, every great band, everything came through the Bay Area. I mean, obviously Zeppelin, we had these Days on the Green and the Stones and all those guys. But I mean, think of all the psychedelic music that came out of San Francisco in the late 70s, Janis Joplin and everybody that was coming out of there.
Absolutely.
So he just, I didn't have to do anything. The music was just all around me all the time. I mean, there's just all the guys you hung out with. We all listened to great music. There was so much music, and, it was just there. I was just like awash in all this fantastic music without even you never had to go look up a band or anything. Sure. The music just came to you. There was so much of it.
And were you able to see those bands, or were you too young at the time, or?
So let's see here. I was I missed a lot of them because I would say when Zeppelin was at their heyday, I was really only 12 or whatever. Right. As I started getting older, especially when I got hold of some wheels, you could start sneaking out and hitting the Warfield and some of those theaters in San Francisco. Nice. And and then got real lucky because then kind of punk and new wave started up, and a lot of those bands had a foothold in San Francisco because there would be people that wanted to hear that stuff. And, got to see some killer bands that way too. So, it's kind of funny because all this incredible music we have in our scene right now, and so much of it's based on Sabbath and a lot of these guys that came out of the 70s and the Southern rock and stuff like that. Right. Obviously that's the reason I like the music today so much. Just it's really, in a way, if you think about it, that's what I grew up with.
And I feel like I come back to that same cycle myself. And one of the reasons I was asking if you were seeing those shows, because you mentioned Janis Joplin, and I every once in a while I go down my YouTube rabbit hole like everybody else, and I saw some great performances by Buckingham Nicks before Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
And they were really psychedelic. I mean, yeah. Obviously, Stevie Nicks had her thing already. She had a solid foothold, but it was much more, I almost want to say flower powery, I guess.
Lindsey Buckingham is I'm right near Oakland in the Bay Area, and Lindsey Buckingham is right from the peninsula. So yeah, they're totally Bay Area people.
Oh, absolutely. So, okay, now, how did you go from listening and enjoying? Is this is this your way of kind of telling people, hey, this is what I dug, I hope you dig it too? How did this whole Fuzzy Cracklins things How did it start?
Well, I mean, the short answer is I was driving through Louisiana with Mrs. Cracklins. We were on a road trip. And, of course, the food in the South is incredible. And you just pull over some little shack just about anywhere and pick up whatever you want.
Oh, yeah.
And, we had been driving in the car for at least a week, and we started to get kind of tired with the CDs and the music on the phone and stuff. And we kind of said, hey, we gotta get into some new music. And so I thought, okay, well, we'll check out the different services. But, I'm like, God, Apple Music and Spotify, none of the bands can make any money with that stuff. So I don't want to like pay those guys a subscription or anything, but I'm going to check out this Bandcamp thing because I heard the Bandcamp gives the bands 85% of the money that you pay.
Right.
So I get on the Bandcamp, and at first I didn't understand anything about it, so I'm kind of looking for all my classic music from the 70s, and of course, none of those bands are on there. But I start digging around. It doesn't take you too long to find all this other incredible music, and Bandcamp is so good at once you kind of find a band or a sound you like, it kind of quickly gets you into other, bands and other things, and then you start to notice the other people that are their collections, and before you know it, I mean, you just can't even keep up. There's all this incredible music, and I just thought, I can't believe how good this music is. I mean, I can't believe how good. I mean, we had all this great stuff in the 70s, but in my opinion, the stuff that's here today is better because a lot of these bands, they're not. The point of the music is not really, I mean, I'm sure they would love to become rich and famous and be full-time musicians if they could, but they don't really think, there's not the expectation that that's going to happen, and the labels aren't out there to make it happen for them. I can't go sign a band and send a limo over to their house and give them $1 million advance or anything, right? So, right. So in my mind, the bands make the music exactly how they want to make it. They don't. There's no compromise. There's not a producer there telling them that they gotta tweak this part of it or cut this part out or you can't use that song or. So they make this music that's exactly how they want to make it, and in my opinion, it makes it better than pretty much anything that came out of the 70s. And I love the stuff from the 70s. But I mean, so many of these bands now, it's incredible how good the music is.
Oh, truly, truly. So in starting this label here, did it take time to figure out what was going to be the first CD released, what was going to be the first vinyl, and who were the first few acts that you had?
Let's see here. Well, I mean, it kind of just started, I had got to know some of the bands on Bandcamp, and I just kind of wanted to help them out with getting the word out on their music.
Right.
So in the beginning, it was like Dos Brujos, the sticks and strings instrumental guys out of Austria. Right. Was Crow Ballard, a kind of folk psych guy out of Portland, Oregon. And a couple Opium Warlock, who's kind of like doom psych.
I would love to figure out the rest of that story with that person. I don't know. It's a solo project, correct?
Not anymore, and that is a fantastic story, right? So when I met him, he looked me up after I had done the Loud and Lonely compilation. So he contacts me. He goes, man, some of that music that's on there was great, but he had missed it. He was a one man, one guy recorded all his music. Right. And I go, hey, but I like your music, and I'm always looking to do another comp. So he helped me out with one called Opium Warlock's Dungeon of Darkness. So he helped me pick out the songs and contact the bands, and he turned me on to a lot of really great bands. Right. And he's on the label. By that time, I got the label started up, and the Swamp Krewe really digs him, and everybody liked him and stuff. And then I got this opportunity to work with this band out of Hamburg, Germany called Sleeping Child, who's a really great stoner rock band. Yes. And they said, hey, we're going to do like this tour in Europe. This is like back in February, but they got a hold of me like real early so we could really kind of plan it out. And they go, we're going to do this 5-city tour, and but we can't find anybody in Prague to play with. Do you know any bands there? Perfect. And I'm like, well, there's Opium Warlock, but he doesn't play with anybody, so sorry, but I'll ask him and we'll find you guys a band. which we did. Eventually, we found Trahir, who's a great band, and they did play with him. But Opium Warlock, since I was asking him about it, he's like, well, I think I could get a band together in time for the show.
Right.
And I go, well, that would be amazing, but you have to really do it, and you got to rehearse, and you got to get your, you can't let these guys down if they come through town. That can't be your first show. He's like, well, okay. So he did do it. He got a hold of the bass player from Medusa, who's from Budapest. He got a hold of a drummer. They did do a couple rehearsals. They did play a couple kind of secret gigs because they wanted this Sleeping Child show to be their world premiere.
Yeah.
So they kind of did a few secret pop-up shows so they weren't scheduled or anything. And Sleeping Child gave them a lot of help and support, and they did show up at that show, and it was kind of right till the last minute. Nobody knew whether they were actually going to show up or not, Opium Warlock.
Interesting. So,
I made a poster, I made a CD, I shipped all the CDs out there so they could have them at the show. And my attitude was just sort of like, well, if it doesn't work out and for whatever reason he doesn't show up, at least I helped out the other couple bands and the merch is there. And I told them, you guys just, if you can sell it or give it away, just whatever you want to do.
Right.
And then I thought, if he does show up, then it'll be great. You just have to have a good attitude about this stuff.
Totally. Yeah.
So,
you never know.
He did show up, and it was killer. There's video of it, and it ended up being just an incredible night. It was unreal.
That sounds, it's just a confluence of events, and everything just kind of gels the way it pretty much should. Now, in whether it's Opium Warlock or whether it's Sleeping Child or some of the current artists that even have stuff on pre-order right now, like I'm blanking right now. Dead Panda. What are you looking for to be on the label?
Let's see here. I mean, really, just the music has just got to be killer. That's really the only requirement, because I figure if the music's killer, everything else has a chance of working out.
Sure.
I don't think of the band to go like, okay, I could sell 50 CDs, or okay, this could be a killer vinyl or something like that. It's always just the music. So that's what I mean. I'm probably running it backwards from the way a label's supposed to work. I probably should figure all the other stuff out and then tell the band, okay, hurry up, get me some good music. But it's just all I care about is the music. Then we figure it out, and then we figure out, are you guys gonna have a tape or a CD? Or are you gonna do this? Are you gonna do that? We just start with the music, and we kind of figure it out from there.
And how are people contacting you? I know you have a music blog. Is that a main way, or do people just get through you on social media?
Yeah, actually a lot of bands do contact me because of the blog, because I'm always happy to try to put something up, a review, and embed their Bandcamp music on there and put their social links and stuff. And that gets some pretty good traction on, if you go search for it in Google. So a lot of bands find me that way. I'm always happy to have people DM me, on Instagram, and I get a lot of contacts that way. So it's kind of a mix, I'd say, of both, and then a lot of times they know one of my bands and then kind of get connected to me that way.
Gotcha. Understood. Hey, you know what? Would you mind, because we talked a little bit off mic, but I wanted to get to it while we're recording here and talk about some of the compilations, because that's really how I got to know about everything that you were doing. Is that cool?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Can we start, please, with Loud and Lonely, Volume 1? I mean, we got, what do we have, something like 24 tracks? And there is some stuff here, and I was even, going over it again, where I might have to have, I also do the radio show, so I think I might have to throw some of these that I have not put on in a while. I mean, there's some killer material. Is it pronounced Nidef? Nidef from France? Yeah, the guy from Nidef, right? Pusher Kid. Oh my gosh, Nanaki, Crushing Yellow Sun, A Borrowing Kid Generation, Jerry Dirt. I mean, what was? Oh, and also the art by Humanitone, which created some killer track and killer tracks. So what was the impetus for starting these compilations?
I was had really gotten into like I said, so I got into Bandcamp. I'm listening to all different kinds of things, and I was kind of really drawn to there was all these guys. They're just a one-man band or one-person band, and especially like guys that play like instrumental metal. So they'll have like a drum track, or they have they program the drums before or after, but then they lay down the guitar themselves.
Right.
And I just really got into that, and I really like instrumental music a lot. So
right.
that was part of it. And then, some of these guys, they just really crank out the music. I mean, they'll have an album literally, one a week or something. They just, the output some of these guys can do is incredible. And I really got into it. And I think like a lot, how you mentioned this a lot of times on your show is you just feel like you want to do something to get the word out on these guys, and right. I thought, and I'm listening to, by then I knew at least 15 different, one-person bands, and I thought, hey, I'm gonna make a comp. I don't know, why not? What's it gonna hurt? Because right. It's, I thought, well, I don't want to just do like a playlist, because first of all, most of these guys aren't on Spotify, so that wouldn't work anyway. And I already told you what I think about Spotify, so right. Bandcamp is where I wanted to do it. And then the more I started digging into it, the more of these guys I found, and it just kind of all came together. So, I mean, really, it's like just a playlist of, these are all guys that I like. So that's really what it is. And what's fun about it... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, even you got somebody that I know that's not too far from me, Secret of Lost Empires. You got Josh...
Yes, absolutely.
That was a seller for me on the whole thing, and then I can go down the whole list. But man, this is a really great list, and I'm curious because with the exception of Secrets of Lost Empires, I don't think I've seen any of these bands come through Arizona. There's a band out here, solo project, Shane from the band Via Vengeance. Now, he plays everything at the same time. Do you know if any of these bands do that?
I don't think, to my knowledge, there's a single band on Loud and Lonely that could actually play live.
Interesting.
So if you're saying Secrets of Lost Empires, does he do it? Or he's on there, but I don't think he plays live.
When he plays live, he has somebody playing drums.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah. So like also Dr. Sludgelove, he does that. He has like a bass player and a drummer that'll hit the stage with him when he plays, but he recorded it all himself. But say like the guy that's right at the top of Loud and Lonely, who's now later on, joined the Swamp, is Professor Electric.
Right.
He's, he doesn't play the stage at all. It's just it's a project that he does, but he doesn't play the stage.
And he creates a ton of music.
Yeah.
Every time.
Well, he's a Southwest dude. He's out of Vegas.
Right on. Yeah. Yeah. I've had some conversations with him. Actually, I should get him on the podcast now that I think about it.
There you go.
That'd be a great idea.
Yep.
Moving forward to the next compilation that I had in my Bandcamp list, Sticks and Strings Volume 1. So we're going from solo project, now we've got two-piece project. Yeah. So, I mean, what can you tell me about the Sticks and Strings comp? How did that get started?
Right. Well, so by one of the bands that I just got connected with and just loved from almost the beginning was Dos Brujos, and that's and I can remember when I first heard those guys, I actually couldn't believe that they were a jam band. I just thought, how is that possible? You can play 20 minutes. And, it's not like a chorus and verse style song, but, there's no mix-ups in the middle. There's no weird transitions where the drummer got a little bit out of sync with the guitar player or something. It's just 20 minutes of incredible music. And I first heard him, I thought, is that possible that you could actually do that? I mean, because I'm not a musician, so to me, it's mind-boggling, right? I mean,
yeah.
But of course, they're great musicians. They've been playing for years and years, so to them, that's how they do it. But to me, as somebody who doesn't know how to play an instrument, to me, it was magic. I mean, I couldn't believe it. So I got to know the guys, and I just, for a while, they were cranking out, they put out something like every week, 2 weeks. And on Bandcamp, you can't really interact with the other fans, but you could just leave comments and just kind of try to trip up on each other with your comments and stuff. So
sure.
Dos Brujos would always put out their music on Friday afternoon, so you could have it in time to have your beer on happy hour, enjoy it for the weekend. Well, Austria, beer time, that is like morning for me. And so they'd come out with this music, and the fun would be to try to leave a comment on the album page before anybody else did. And it was tough, too, because there was like 3 or 4 other guys that were really into this music.
Right.
So it was just fun. Anyway, got to know those guys a lot. And so that pretty much, I just figured I'm going to find some more bands that are sticks and strings or just 2-person bands. And, you start digging around on Bandcamp, and it's incredible how many bands there are.
And it's also
that particular style.
It's also incredible to me how many bands of this genre are just 2-piece.
Yeah,
there's so many here.
Yeah.
Like I've seen Redbeard Wall live, and it's what I love what he does on the releases. Live, it is so funny because it's a constant battle between the sound person doing the sound check, and he's like, yeah, okay, all right, you're good, and then just kind of turn it up a little bit. And yeah, and also you've got Bong Tower, which had a brand new release recently, Lagoon, who's been really prolific lately, and so many other bands on this one, and I don't know, there's something about Dr. T that really catches me. It's a little outside the norm. How did you get involved with Dr. T?
Let's see here. He had an album from a couple years ago that I found on Bandcamp, and I try to buy as much music on Bandcamp as I can, which I'm kind of on a limited budget, as I'm sure a lot of us are. So
right.
I buy what I can, and he was like, name your price. So I paid my $1 so I could buy it and leave him a nice comment and stuff. And I realized he was a one-man band, so I contacted him for Loud and Lonely, and really liked his stuff. And so I just, kind of swapped emails and got to know him. And that's one of those relationships that really worked out to be amazing, because then later on, when we were looking for new music for Crow and Poe, and I asked him about it, he really laid down a killer track for that. So it's amazing how sometimes, you just like somebody's music, and then you can end up working with them, and, something creative ends up happening. It's pretty exciting.
You never, ever know where
Right.
it's going to go. You really
Right.
don't, man. So I want to get into this one because I said it off mic. This was kind of my, actually the first 3 were really my introduction, but this is the one that kind of hit me the hardest, where I loaded it up and I took a flight from Arizona to Florida, and it was an overnight flight. Perfect time to listen to this trippiness, this psychedelicness, this I don't even know, this trip that I was taking in more ways than one, probably. So let's talk about Dr. Green Thumb's Psychedelic Circus. We've had some fuzz, or actually I should say a lot of fuzz, in the past couple releases. Now we're getting a little on the trippy side. What can you tell me about this compilation? How'd you create it?
Let's see here. So I guess after Loud and Lonely, and then, people really seemed to respond to it. And then I kind of did actually put together Sticks and Strings. I was putting that together. And one of the guys, Dr. Green Thumb, right? Who's a heavy door band. He was on Loud and Lonely, and we kind of got to know each other a little bit. And he had some ideas for some stuff he wanted to do. And I thought, I asked him, I go, it would be great if we could work together, because then it helps me. I could find some bands and you could find some bands. That's kind of reason, because what is there, like 30 songs on there, 2.5 hours or 3 hours or something?
Yeah, it's huge. 30 tracks. I mean, psych, fuzz, acid, jam music, and all of it.
Well, yeah. So as bands started, we started pulling the bands together. At first, I'm always was kind of tempted to say, like, I just want to have like 6 or 7 songs, make it real tight, like 45 minutes of just killer music.
Right.
But, there's so many bands that I like, and really the point of these things is to try to get people to hear their music. So the idea of trying to make like a really tight playlist always falls to the side. And that one, I think I even kind of tried to organize it in the liner notes, saying like, here's the psych section and here's the more doom psych section.
Yep.
And tried to, because otherwise it kind of comes across a little bit random. But at least, like I said, I feel like all the music on there is really great. So I just, we spent about a month contacting bands and getting the word out, and a few bands contacted us. And, before we knew it, we just sort of just had this monster comp in our hands.
We'll get right back into the interview in just a minute, but first, what is going on over at Glory or Death Records?
Well, hey there, Tommy. What's with the long face? I don't know why I feel the way I do. I'm just not happy, Doc. Like, I don't feel right. Oh, I think you have anxiety, Tommy. I know exactly what you need. I'm going to go ahead and write you a prescription for a record player and some sweet new records at Glory or Death Records. That'll get you back on your feet again, and right as rain in no time. Glory or Death has all the best bands: Moss Generator, Red Wizard, Love Gang, Red Witch Johnny. They'll get you feeling peachy keen again. They even have an insane double album tribute to Thin Lizzy featuring High on Fire, Mothership, Duel, Worshipper, and tons more. Wowee! Oh, that sure is keen. Side effects may include extreme giddiness, bloodshot eyes, random cravings, forgetfulness, bleeding of the ears, confusion, nausea, constipation, diarrhea, depression, anxiety, alcoholism, ulcers, or death.
And I like the idea of adding some of the live element as well, because it's hard to describe the genre and the scene to people that aren't in it. It's like, oh, so where are you going? You going to see a concert? Yes, I'm going to see a concert tonight. Oh, what stadium? I was like, okay, it's not it's not a stadium show. Oh, are you going like out here? It's like Action Pavilion and this and I don't know the other one. I forget. I don't know, but because I don't really go to them. The highest cap that I enjoy going to, I don't know, maybe 2,000 people or something. But the majority of the places I go, it's around 300 cap or something, and I think that was captured on these live recordings where it's just like it's intimate, it's a lower ceiling, it's sweaty, it's sometimes divey, and that's what we have. And I think that the live component here with Toast and who is it?
Crow Crash Radio.
Yeah, Crow Crash Radio. Yeah, great stuff, man.
Well, and Crow Crash Radio, that's from YouTube that they did. And, I think it was at a bookstore in San Francisco. I think there was 30 people there.
Yeah.
And literally the people are sitting right next to the guys playing. And one of those guys is playing a theremin, right? That instrument you play with your hands.
Yep.
And, they sound so good, it just blows your mind. And then to see people kind of hanging out at a bookstore, kind of just checking them out. It was pretty amazing.
It really is just a completely different animal. I mean, when you see some of these places and you go in and you're like, where are there monitors? Is there a stage? Like, what's here? Like, there's a place here that really, it is a beast. It's in Tempe, Arizona, and it's called The Beast, and it's connected to this thing called the Cornish Pasty, which are, to me, it's like it's upgraded Hot Pockets, but like Hot Pockets that just are better, I guess.
Yeah.
And there's a stage there, and it's very intimate, and I think people do, just a killer job there. But when it's not on, you barely know that they there was something here. It's like, you know, I'm sure you've been to the places where they have to move the pool table out of the way to have a show. So you know what it's about.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think, man? Do you get the feeling that this is going to be kind of like an underground gig forever? Do you ever think that there's going to be somebody that you have on a comp or somebody that you have on the label, and next thing you know, they turn around and, you know, they're on like a major tour?
Well, if you would have asked me that, you know, before the pandemic started, I would have said I definitely feel like that's something that could happen. Now, I would say I don't have any idea what to expect from anybody at any point until this is all wrapped up. I mean, that's kind of a crass, shitty answer, but that's actually how I feel about it.
No, I get it.
I don't think you can predict anything right now.
No,
I think a lot of these bands totally deserve that, and I think if they could get out and play the right number of shows, I definitely feel like, you know, one of them could get the lucky break or something happens. Or, you know, it's usually a function of how much effort they want to put into it. And I know some of my bands would be up for that. And we're kind of on track to even do that. Like, we had been making plans and doing some other things. And now we don't talk about it at all because you can't make any plans. And it's frustrating to make plans for that. So 6 months ago, I would have said absolutely. I mean, I don't know when it would happen. I don't know exactly how it's going to happen. But a couple of my bands, you know, had already gotten some, you know, a couple of my bands had a lot of shows lined up for the summer and some big festivals and things.
Yep.
And it just all got wiped out. So luckily, you know, I'm not a show promoter or anything like that. So, you know, I've done some show posters and things and a few sponsorships, but that's not, you know, anything full-time or something like that. So luckily, since most of what I'm doing is online anyway, you know, at least we keep all that stuff going. You know, so the CDs keep going and the online promotion and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And just hope that when the world puts itself back together and these guys can start hitting the stage again, hopefully we could just pick it up again and see what happens.
Absolutely. I mean, that is the thing, you know, content right now is king because what else do you have? You
right.
know? So, and this is a shout a little bit to any of the bands that are listening, man. If you got your stuff, and, you know, I would assume that people are proud of it, put it out there so everybody can see it. You know, it's like that shirt ain't going to sell in a storage closet if you don't put it online, you know?
You are absolutely right. 100%.
And by the way, thank you, because I am guilty as well. I had these koozies that I have. And
yeah, they're killer.
I was selling them, you know, every once in a while at a show here, a show that, you know, I said, hey, don't worry, you know, I got a bunch in the car. You know, if you want one, let me know. And just kind of left it at that. We did a festival and in February, Planet Mammoth, and I sold a bunch there. And I just didn't put them up. And actually, you were the catalyst for that, so thank you.
Right on.
So did just a little Big Cartel page, and you know what? They're moving. So
killer.
Damn,
yes. Man. Right on. Well, you know what? It's all that kind of stuff. It's fun. And it works, and then those things have a way of showing up online in photos and stuff.
Yep.
Because they're real. Yours are super killer. Mrs. Cracklins, you were nice enough to send me two. She stole one immediately, so I have no idea where it is. I love it, and you know, it's these things that end up in photos. Another way a band can promote themselves. It's so easy, but it's so much fun, and it really works. And it sounds trivial, but just stickers even. Stickers are great.
Yeah. Well, look, you know, okay, we're older gentlemen chatting right now. Not old, just older. And, you know, I don't have a Hydro Flask in my house. I have some different things to hold water and et cetera. But everybody seems to go around. It's an old Carlin bit, I guess, where he says, "What happened? Where everybody has to go around with their personal fluids, like it's or something like that." I'm kind of paraphrasing it, but now I see, you know, these huge metal containers, and some are like a half a gallon big, and it's almost vogue right now to have it covered in stickers.
Oh, Oh, yeah. Okay, right.
I mean, it really is. Like I've at places that I've worked, I've seen people in their early 20s and stuff, and they come in and they've got and it's all covered with different stickers. And I'm like, hey, well, you want to slap mine on there? You're more than welcome to. It's a thing.
Man, a couple dudes that have gotten hold of my stickers have put them on like their turntable covers, and later on they do like a vinyl spitting photo or something, and my sticker's on there, and I mean, I'm so grateful. I mean, because I'm flattered they put my sticker on there. I'm excited myself to see it. I'm happy to hope other people see it. I mean, it sounds so insignificant, but it's a big deal. I mean, it's important for people to know what you're doing.
Well, yeah, man. Instead, it's really one of the basics of advertising. The whole thing of you have to put something in somebody's face about 7 times for them to realize it.
Right, yeah.
And then when you see it come up, and now, obviously with social media, we have hashtags, and you can get creative with that. But this is something, and whether it's, like you said, whether it's something on social where it's a turntable, or it's on somebody's wall or somebody's hydro flask, which even that word, I mean, it's like, I knew what a flask was. Now I need a flask just for water, which I don't know. It just weirds me out. I'm just going to move forward. You talked about it, and I'd like to get a little of your insight. Crow and Poe. What can you tell me?
Wow, yeah. The short story is, God, I wish that one had kind of gotten into more people's ears. But how it started was Crow Ballard. So Crow Ballard contacts me after Loud and Lonely. He goes, I'm kind of a Loud and Lonely guy, but I think I missed the boat on that comp. But if you've got something new coming up, please let me know.
Right.
And I go, well, I mean, I just kind of always have stuff I'm kicking around. And so me and him just kind of started trading ideas of, hey, let's do this, let's do that, let's do this, let's do that. And somehow we both kind of connected with, do you remember the Minutemen?
Of course.
Yeah, okay, right.
Yeah.
That's what me and him had in common early on. We met on like a Minuteman post on something on Instagram, and we started quoting each other from the Minutemen.
Oh my God.
And realized that we had a lot in common. So we're talking about things we want to work on. And I said, I'll just throw out stuff that I love. And man, one of the things we were talking about music from the 70s is there were some incredible concept albums, right?
Sure.
Or late 60s, Tommy and all that stuff. And I go, I just love those things, and I would love it. I would love to somehow be involved with something like that. So we start kicking around some ideas, and he kind of put it out there a little bit like it was a joke in case I didn't think it was going to work, or if just asked me, he goes, what about Crow and Poe, right? Edgar Allan Poe, and, obviously it rhymes, so there's that. Mm-hmm. And I go, oh, no, we could totally make that work. Yeah, oh, yeah. But so what we did is, all the comps, everyone's already made their own music, right? And we're putting on a comp. A couple guys would do exclusives, but the most of the comps were basically music that was already out there.
Sure.
So we said, but for this one, let's see if we can ask the bands to do something new. I mean, they can put it on their own album too after that, but let's see if we can't pull together all new music for this.
Right.
So I contacted a bunch of bands, and this was so gratifying, and it was so exciting, and it, I look back on it, really was kind of a magic period when we were working on this. Every band I contacted was so excited and so into it and supportive, and because I said just pick whatever story or poem you want, let us know what it is so that one of the other bands doesn't use the same one. And all the bands that ended up on there are the bands that wanted to do something. And I mean, in my mind, it's a huge variety, so it's you have to be prepared that there's a lot of different styles of music on there.
Sure.
But in my mind, every one of those bands just completely knocked it out of the park. I mean, to me, the music that is on there, it's just mind-blowing. I mean, it really is. And so what we had to do, though, we had to figure out a way for Crow Ballard to kind of tie his music into it because he was kind of like the host of it.
Sure.
So he came up with this, which I think worked out just fantastic. His style is to do short songs anyway. His songs are like a minute and a half.
Yep.
And he's a great guitar player, and he comes up with these great riffs, and he does, he comes up with these great bass lines. He just has really great music. And so what he did, he kind of played to his own strength. He came up with 5 tracks that sort of interspersed and kind of tie together all the other songs with the narrative. So the lyrics, it's like he's aware that these are songs about Edgar Allan Poe, and he's kind of going through like a Lost Weekend experience, and he pulls together all the other songs. And to me, I couldn't be more proud of how that turned out, and grateful to all the bands that contributed to it.
It really is a very interesting release, and like you said, almost a throwback to the concept album. And yeah, when there's a concept album, you need those ebbs, those flows, and I think that's the one part about it. The little, I don't want to say interstitials, but the Crow Ballad pieces just fit in to the next track. So yeah, I think you weaved in and out of that really well. Somebody even quoted, or I'm going to quote somebody about saying, like, I felt like Vincent Price was with me as I was listening to it. I just love the way it sounds awesome. And how many, I don't see a lot of, every once in a while, I see somebody that has like a nod or what have you to like H.P. Lovecraft or somebody like that. But Poe, I don't hear a lot. And it was really, really refreshing to hear something like this.
Well, I was really taken aback with how excited the bands got about it, because I was a little bit trepidatious. I'm not sure I know what that word means, but I was unsure if the bands would get into it. And, a lot of them said exactly what you just said, because, yeah, Lovecraft is great. Everybody loves it, some of the other stuff. But a lot of people really like Edgar Allan Poe, and for whatever reason, you don't really hear him in the music. Or at all, really. But a lot of people are big fans of his. I mean, they got Professor Electric. He did a song called "The City and the Sea," and he's like, "Did you know that the story, the Edgar Allan Poe story, was originally called "The City and the Sin"? And of course, Professor Electric lives in Sin City. I mean, it all worked out."
Oh, when the planets align, just perfection. Right, yeah. Love it. I'm going to move forward to the Heavy South. Got some killer music on here again. And one of the bands I interviewed here, the Heavy Eyes. I also know, I don't know if it's out yet, the King's Pistol. I don't know if their new release is out yet. But I should hit them up to interview them too. So why are you going down south now? What can you tell me?
Well, Fuzzy Cracklins, the cartoon alligator, is from the South.
Yes.
And that's where I got on our road trip, eating our cracklins. That's how the whole thing got started. And I just love the music from down there. And, obviously from the 70s, right? Think of all the incredible Southern rock that was going on. But, there's so much great music coming out of there now, which was what I was trying to kind of get to. But
right.
After I kind of got it started, it wasn't really coming up with like these, after like Psychedelic Circus with the 30 songs, I only had like a handful of songs. And in fact, it was King's Pistol that contacted me, and he goes, "Hey, we're not actually from the south of the USA, but we kind of fit the sound. So, maybe you want to check us out." And I thought, yeah, these guys sound great. And also, that'll kind of take care of the problem of I don't want to have a comp that has like 5 or 6 or 7 songs on it. So, so half the songs kind of ended up being like, guys from France and the UK that have that sound.
Right.
So it's sort of like a virtual South, I guess. That's how it worked out.
I got the point as it came across, because I know, I'm aware King's Pistol aren't here. They're on the other side of the pond, but it's like, yeah, it totally fits and it works. And there's so much more. Like, I can't remember if another phone call we talked about it. I used to live in Florida, and I kind of missed out on a few bands, a few doom bands, a few stoner bands. I just didn't know. I didn't know what to look for them at the time until I really came into the genres as I moved out west. And now as I look back, and there is a growing scene now, even more so in Florida. Seven Serpents, I believe, Beer Wolf is over there. There's I know I'm missing a ton more. Dizygote, which is a great 2-piece band. If you've heard of them, there's a lot happening in Florida now. And when I see a documentary like Slow Southern Steel, and talking about that New Orleans, that Southern kind of influence. I think Florida's perfect because it is humid as hell there, and you gotta play slower or else you sweat your ass. You still sweat your ass off. It don't matter.
Well, that's how Doomsday Rejects ended up on my label. Was they did a live show. Was this even after the pandemic started? No, I don't remember when they did it, but they did just a live show from the rehearsal room, and the rehearsal room is literally next to the sewage plant in Jacksonville. And nice. Like you just said, Jacksonville is basically a swamp. So they've and they make a joke about it, about being next to the sewage plant and being in a swamp and everything.
Right.
And I saw these guys do this live thing at the rehearsal room, and I couldn't believe how good they were. They sounded great. They made it was a really weird shaped room. It was almost like it's like a total rectangle, but they made it work with the light and everything. And I always think every band should try to do something like that. Don't worry about if it comes off perfect or how exactly this, that, or the other looks or whatever. Just get out there and do it. And that's what these guys did. And after that, I just stayed in touch with them because I thought, man, those guys, that's the way to do it. You only have to play 20 minutes, do something live on Instagram. Your fans are going to love it, so don't worry about it. Just do it.
You know what? You're 1,000 and maybe even 10,000% correct on that. There's a bunch of bands that I've seen dozens of times out here, because they reside here, and they're opening for the traveling, touring bands, the headliners. And, sometimes they'll come off the stage and they'll say, what'd you think? And I said, dude, it sounded fantastic, man. And he's like, well, did you hear where I messed up here? Did you hear this? Did you hear that? I was like, no. I'm vibing off it. And, honestly, sometimes it just sounds a little bit different. And you're like, I just thought you were tweaking it. I don't know. I thought it was improv. What do I know?
Yeah.
And they're like, no, man, I was afraid the string would break and this and my pedal was this. I said, you know what? It's live. You have the balls and you have the guts to get on stage and to do this and to create this material. And the people are showing, they're going to love you, man. They still love you. It's okay. But I do understand it. Now, in my other life, I'm also a massage therapist and I take the craft very seriously.
Right.
I don't like working for corporate. I don't want to have like a cattle call or whatever. Like I don't want what's that? The line? When people make stuff? Shit, I'm blanking on it. What is it? A production line. There you go. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah. Right.
Use your words, Mr. Beck. And I don't want that. I want it to be individual, and I have things that I do and techniques that some I've developed and some that I have taken from continuing education. But I call my craft, and I don't like people messing around with my craft, and I want to make sure I'm putting out the best product. It'd be like maybe it's in terms like if I felt like I was getting some sniffles or was about to get a cold or whatever. Sniffles, very doom sounding, by the way. I'd cancel the appointment. I know I'm not at 100%.
Yeah. I
want to make sure I'm giving 1,000% of the product. So I guess in a way I could understand, but this sometimes like when it's a band, I said, there are happy accidents that have happened because of these things, and maybe it's just a piece of it. I really don't know.
So you're saying, like, in other words, first of all, like, I'll tell a band to get out there and play as much as they can. I mean, obviously, not right now, but if they can get out there on social media, Facebook Live or Instagram Live, or just try to record some videos, or those guys that put the different, the bass players in one house and the drummers in another house and whatever, yeah. I mean, I think now more than ever, right?
Yeah. And like I said, content is king, and, they're the rock stars, and they enjoy playing, and they have fans that want to see it. And not only even just playing, but noodle around in the practice. Sometimes, I know myself, I'm a sucker for when something's been released for like 15 years or whatever, and then they put out the demo sessions, and then they put out alternate takes.
Yeah, I love those.
Love it. Yeah, because you're like, I got to see what the progress was.
Yeah.
And that's also a testament to going out and seeing a show live. I was talking to a band the other day where it's like, I listened to their release, which was 2016, and it's been 4 years. And I've seen the music and the song progress live over the years.
Yeah.
And change and morph, and even some songs that go from, somebody starts it out, it's a 5-minute song. Once they flesh it, it's a 10-minute song.
Yep.
So
right.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, I want to go into this next one because this hits me. Brazil in Fuzz. I was talking to Melissa from Stoner Witch Radio, and it's not just Argentina. It's not just Portugal. There's all these places in Brazil, especially, that there's this sound that is being created. I don't know, what is it, in the water? Is it in the food? I don't know what the hell's going on, but this is a huge list. And with it's exactly what it should be, because there is so much killer music going on in Brazil. How did you create this? This must have taken a while.
Yeah, we worked on it for months, to be honest. And I worked with a guy out of the band Cascateria who does a lot of promotion as Fuzzrius.
Right.
And he was able to kind of get us an entree into a lot of he introduced me to a lot of the bands. But I got I found at least half the bands on there. Just how I find bands for all the other comps is I just start digging around on Bandcamp and start contacting the bands and just ask them. I try to make a web page that describes what the comp's going to be about, so I could just say, hey, go check this out, and if it sounds interesting to you, let me know. But that one was really fun because after we got about 20 or 30 bands together, the word kind of got out, and then the other 30 bands just all got a hold of us. They all found out that there was going to be this big thing and stuff. And the guy from Riders of Death Valley who did that killer cover, we had that pretty early, so we were promoting the cover. And a lot of bands saw that and got excited. And it kind of really came together. That was definitely the most kind of community group effort of a comp that I was ever involved with. I mean, just, the bands all got excited about it. Brazil is a huge country, it has a big population, but it only has kind of a couple big cities. So there's a kind of a feel to it. I'm not going to say small town, but, the people there are a lot more connected than they would be, say, like in the United States, which is just as big and spread out. But there's kind of more of a sense of community, at least in the music world in Brazil. So once, one band was going to be on this thing, they would get a hold of their friends, across the country and let them know about it. So bands were starting to come to us and say, hey, we want to get involved with this. And of course, we went, yeah, definitely. It's a big country. It's got to be a big list.
You know what? Very, very true. Very true. And please, everybody over there, keep going, because I love hearing the sound. And, there's something about it. I feel it's a little bit dirty. And I'm a fan of that dirt. And
yeah.
I don't know, maybe this is subconsciously, but when I saw it, and and actually just getting into the scene, my first thought of Brazil right away is Sepultura. It's just a band that came up, but that's I remember I bought a VHS tape of them, and they played, and they're thrashy and everything, and then when they went into the interview part, they're talking mostly about the plight of being in Brazil and what it's like. And I wonder if that is coming across in some of these songs. I don't know. I don't know what's changed over the years. I mean, that VHS tape's got to be 30 years old now.
Do you mean a struggle for the musicians, or you just sort of mean the country as a whole, or what?
Just the country as a whole, just like life struggles, and it comes out in the fuzz,
I mean, yeah, I agree. I mean, I think a lot of these bands, it's just like it would be here. If they're really in tune with their local scene, a lot of that comes through in the music. I agree with that.
We will get right back into the interview in just a minute, but before we do, I think we should hear a little bit from Mucho Printing.
Yeah, hey, what's up, big dogs? This is Mucho Drums here to tell you a little bit about my new company, Mucho Printing. Now, I played in multiple bands for several years, and I know how important it is to leave your mark after any show. Even before hitting that first note, you want the crowd to know who you are and remember who's responsible for the sore necks the next morning. Presentation is an important factor in any band's mission to the top, and that's where we come in. Fully printed backdrops, removable bass drum covers, mesh cab covers, flags. These are just a few products that we can offer to you. We're based out of Los Angeles, California, and can ship anywhere in the United States. More importantly, our goal is to help promote bands off the stage as well. With every order, we'll post pictures of the prints, along with info about the band and any other advertisements you'd like us to include. Please check us out on Instagram and Facebook by searching Mucho Printing. Send us a message for any details. Hope all of you are staying safe, strong, and powerful out there. And remember, you win some, you lose some, but nothing beats getting some. Cheers, my friends.
I don't know. Either way, well, I'm just gonna move a little forward here. Gonna go into Swamp Punk. We got a little bit of a direction change. What can you tell me about it?
Let's see here. I mean, actually, that's one of the ones I'm maybe the most proud of, because I feel like that was the one that I got closest to where it was kind of a shorter list, and it kind of really worked good if you just play it straight through without kind of any, huge number of like sound changes and stuff. Kind of can really just play through, just almost like it's its own album or something.
Right.
But by that time, Dead Panda was on the label, and of course he's stoner punk. And I realized I like a lot of stoner punk bands and punk and stuff like that and thrash and things. So I thought, well, I guess it's time to do a comp for that. And that's basically about it. It's time to start pulling them all together. Honestly, that was what was funny too, was he and I decided we would do that. And then I thought, I already know all kinds of bands. I'll just start shooting out emails and stuff. And literally within an hour, half of that comp was filled up. I mean, it was that. Wow. It was that quick.
Well, it sounds like it's, like you said, going back to even like the Minutemen, it was a passion.
Yeah.
And, not only Dead Panda, Cascateria, Crow Ballard, but some of these other bands that have recently gotten turned on to, and I'm going to butcher it, Muzunsi?
That's pretty close. Because I wouldn't say I know how to say it either, but I say Muzunsi. Yeah.
Works. Gorilla Wizard, King Sig, Mystery Dudes. I think they got some new material coming out too. Pyre Fire, Buzzard Cult. It's another great comp, man, and it comes through. The love comes through, and I know it. Doom, love, whatever, but you can feel it, and there's a lot going on with it, and you're bringing it. You just you're bringing it to the masses. Swamp Haze is the next one that I want to just give a quick talk about. What can you tell me about the Swamp Haze?
Well, I mean, last year I did a comp for 420, Blood Moon God, and so this year I thought, well, I have, 420 needs a comp, and but I couldn't think of a good name. I mean, I could think of a lot of names, but I just thought, well, I'm sure somebody's got a better idea than me. And I think I just did an Instagram post or something, and Andy from the King's Pistol came up with Swamp Haze. I thought, I like that. Yeah, that's great. I love that name. And then I also kind of did on Instagram. I just said, hey, if anybody wants to try to help me out to put the album art together, let me know.
Right.
And Tranquil Grove, who's from Germany, she's a great artist. She said, and she does a lot of things that are not exactly real animals. Like she does a lot of skulls that kind of look like they're gator skulls, but they're kind of her own creation.
Sure.
And she said, hey, I could do something like that for you, except I'd color it all up and everything. I'm like, oh, yeah, I bet. And to me, that's like one of the best covers. I just love her artwork and how that turned out.
And also, that should be noted that any monies that get donated, it goes to a pandemic relief.
It does, actually. It does. What do? We split it between one of the bands is in a town in Spain, and he picked his hospital, and then the other half goes to Doctors Without Borders.
That is incredible. Thank you for that, sir. Appreciate that.
Hey, we got to thank the fans that plunk some money down. It's a big deal. I mean, support is huge, and now's the time for it.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely it is. And I have one more that I just want to go over. And then I want to talk about some of these artists here. The Swamp, which is pretty new. What can you tell me about the Swamp?
That's just flat out the label sampler. So every band in the Swamp has got one song on there.
Thank you. And
it kind of all pulled together. You and I both like to listen to podcasts and radio shows, so let me do a call out to the Whiz Banger Show. She's on Fridays afternoons on MMH Radio, and she has a great show, but she's also very supportive of bands on Bandcamp. She's like how I would do it if I could have the ability to do a radio show.
Right.
And she actually contacted some of my bands, and they got excited about being on her show. And she said, well, if you have any other bands that want to get played, just tell me or help me figure out which song I should play from them or whatever. And I said, I got a hold of all the bands. I go, we need just to have one place where, you have like your sort of representative song. If someone could only have time to listen to one of your songs, what song do you think they should listen to?
Right.
And that's what the Swamp is. So it's many times it's their newest song, but not necessarily. It's just kind of like, Dead Panda has a lot of different styles, so he sort of had to kind of pick the one that was, maybe his most representative song, and the song that if somebody played on the radio, he'd be excited to have that be the song that got played.
Sounds perfect, man. And it's, I love the comp, and it's a great way to, to introduce everybody to all the other people on the label. Let me just run down this list because, well, first off, Dead Panda, you've got a vinyl, or they got a vinyl coming out next month, Definitive Collection. Is everything on track? Because I know the pandemic has been pushing things back a lot.
I would say I hope so. I mean, the last I heard, the records were just about to get onto a boat, and then that's sort of like a gigantic black hole that then 6 months or 2 months later you sort of hear.
You are so right. Dude, seriously, how does that work? I don't know, is there like is it a hand crank propeller that gets the boat across? Because I have seen that where somebody says, look, I sent it out, here's the tracking. 3 months later, it's here. Yeah. And I'm like, what the hell? Seriously.
Well, yeah, I mean, right now, it's just amazing if anything shows up. And that has to be the only thing that matters anymore, because, you can't count on how long it's going to take. Exactly. I mean, I can still get stuff shipped to the UK in like 5 days, and then Italy can still take 8 weeks. So who knows?
Yeah, I recently saw somebody that, they put out their vinyls, and somebody sent it out in March, and it just got there. So I'm like,
right.
Yeah, okay. Totally. And I know we're going through a lot of weirdness. Look, as long as it gets to me and it's not bent or crinkled, I'm cool. Just take your time, do it right. It's all good. You also have another vinyl with Advent Verlick. Is that did I say that right?
Advent Verlick?
Yeah.
Advent Verlick.
That's it. That one right there.
Yeah, his was one that got shipped before the whole pandemic and everything, and then really caught the brunt of, in the beginning there was a huge backlog of customs, right? I think a lot of countries, but especially here in America, they weren't sure how much of the virus was just, how much you could catch it from just being in contact. Totally. I mean, now we know all about the aerosol and all that, but in the beginning, nobody knew exactly how it spread. And also, the number of people working at customs was cut way back, right? Because they had to social distance and people were getting sick and dying and everything. And it was in customs for at least 6 weeks, I think. I mean, the boat trip is long enough, and then it just sat in customs just forever. So,
yeah, I've had a few vinyl releases that have had that. It's on its way, and I was like, on its way means it's like in the truck and ready to be delivered, but not always. So, also you've got Kavad and Tripping Haze Ceremony, Doomsday Rejects, Grave Disgrace, Dead Demons, Lancasters, Green Fuzz Ritual. Geez, man, there's so much material. And people could listen to it easily. Grab the Swamp, and we're gonna go over that. I think we should discuss this now. The Swamp Krewe. we've got this subscription. Tell me, how did you decide this, and what are people getting?
So the Swamp Krewe is my subscription over on Bandcamp, and Bandcamp makes it super easy for even a band, I think, can set it up. Yeah, in fact, I was just the artist account when I set it up before I was a label, and they make it super easy. People just it can be as little as $3 a month,
right?
Or it can be annual, I think, as well. A few of the labels that are doing good ones are doing annual, but and it just, the real benefit of it is it makes it so easy for these people when you come release a new album or single or whatever. It just immediately goes into their Bandcamp collection. Mm-hmm. So it's a nice, easy way to get the people who already like your music to get it. And of course, it's kind of like a merch item in the sense of, they're paying you $3 a month or $5. In my case, it's $5 a month if you just want to get all the digital music that comes out,
right? Which
is, from 25 bands, there's stuff coming out all the time.
Yep.
And then for $7 a month, you would get all the digital music, and in addition, I'll mail you a CD. For the $7, I mail it to you for free if you're in the United States, and if you're international, we wait a couple months, and then you pay me the postage, and we kind of mail like 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 CDs all at once to kind of, so you only pay $12 a postage instead of every month or whatever.
Right.
And so, I have way over 100 digital subscribers. I have almost 75 CD subscribers now. And, it's a great way, you're going to get one of these underground bands with some killer music. It's a great way to kind of just, kick back and let the music come to you. It's what it kind of really works out to be.
Yeah, I think we're going to have that Fuzzy Cracklins experience this Sunday on the Doom Tomb, because there's so much, like you said, you hunt and you find, and I do the same thing on Bandcamp. I go down my rabbit hole, and it's time. You got to turn people on to some different stuff. We always see the big releases, well, big in the underground, I guess, but this is even further down the hole. So that I love it. I love the idea, and I love this. I guess you could say like a newsletter, if you will, even a beverage that is the crushing yellow sun, as you will. So is that a monthly thing? Is there a monthly beverage for choice?
Yeah, those are Mrs. Cracklins. She does whenever we have a new band that gets signed, she makes them she contacts them and asks them what kind of alcohol they like. And, sometimes if they're not heavy drinkers, she figures out something else. But she comes up with a beverage, let's put it that way. And she kind of finds out what they like, and then she kind of whips it into her own unique kind of mixologist style drink. She gives it a name, like, the Crushing Yellow Sun, or I think the next one coming up is the Crow and Poe, and, stuff like that.
Killer.
And they're fun, They're just, who doesn't want to have a new drink recipe to brighten up their day?
Oh, yeah, and you've got... This is almost like a consolidated version of the blog. Then it gets sent to you, and so like what you're listening to, what's up next for Fuzzy Cracklin. So here's the next question: what is next? What do you have anybody on the horizon? Anyone you can talk about?
Man, actually unbelievable. So this is kind of funny for 2 reasons. First of all, this by itself is a great story, but you'd be surprised how often things work out like this. So let's say months ago, a band, you see a little, again, this is why it's so important, I think, for bands to always try to put stuff on, say, Instagram and on their social media.
Right.
These guys, this is a band that's been playing shows for 2 or 3 years, and they're in Indonesia, which has a really amazing scene that maybe a lot of people don't know about, but there's a small scene, and the bands are all very supportive of each other. Mm-hmm. So when one band is playing, another band has got their phone out, taking video of it. And then they'll post 15 seconds into an Instagram story, and I love to watch those things, so I watch a lot of them.
Right.
So I get to know this one band who I can't quite drop the name of yet, but it's coming up next week. And I go, you guys sound great, whatever. And so then they get to me about 6 months ago, they go, I think we're finally ready. We have enough music, and I think we got it figured out how to get to the studio and stuff to put an album together. And if we did that, would you be interested in listening to it? I said, yeah, of course, absolutely, And by the way, I love to listen to demos, like you were saying.
Right.
I don't get tripped up on the production quality. I just am listening to the music. So when a band has a good demo, they should. Because sometimes I feel like they shouldn't share it, but I feel like no, you should definitely share those things.
Absolutely.
Anyway, they get to be with their demo. I go, this is amazing. Yeah, let me know when you guys have it all put together, and then we'll start making plans. So they got tripped up. They couldn't get the last song recorded because the pandemic started. Then when they finally got that figured out, the guy they sent it to for their mastering, it just didn't come out the way they wanted it. And I totally always back the band up when this happens. It's got to sound the way they want it to sound.
Sure.
This could be like one of the biggest differences between how the music industry works now versus how it worked when I was growing up. When I was growing up, the label, they would tell the band how it was going to sound, right?
Really?
It wasn't the other way around,
I think it still happens. Because if you listen to Top 40, you're getting a certain BPM.
Oh yeah.
You're getting a trend, whether with ever. Unless it's like, even like in hip hop, if it's underground hip hop, you've underground is like the underground here, but the mainstream, you've got that same style, that same beat, that same cadence, blah, blah, blah. And this is where we get to go freeform. So I apologize. I cut you off.
No, that's a great point. I mean, honestly, that's how I draw the line of what kind of music I like and I don't. I like music in any genre if the music was written with like passion and integrity, and because somebody wanted to make some killer music.
Right.
There's something about music that is written to try to game a playlist on Spotify that, like you just said, you can immediately hear it. You can listen to the first 5 seconds and go, okay. I mean, I'm not knocking them. If a band wants to try to make money and all that, I'm not knocking that, but
right.
That doesn't mean I'm going to like it. And I don't listen to any of that stuff. You can just tell immediately that somebody put together with a formula.
I almost call that like supermarket music, Target music, because it's like you're going to hear it in the back, and it's modestly bouncy. It's got something that might invoke the feels just a little bit, but I don't know. For me, it just doesn't feel like it's got heart, but
right.
That's just me.
Right. Oh, right. So this band, they get all tripped up with the mastering and everything. And, there's no pressure. I just say, hey, you guys, hang in there. Let me know when you need some help.
Right.
And we'll just see what happens. And I stay in touch with people on Instagram and emails and stuff. And then then out of the blue, the middle of the night, Sunday, I usually get up like 2 or 3 in the morning because that's the best time to get a hold of guys in these other time zones.
Yeah, it is.
And I check my email, and they've sent me the link to the Google Drive. They go, hey, we got the remastering done. Here's the album. And I'm like, oh, my God. And, of course, I have to listen to it at 2 or 3 in the morning. It's Sunday night, or Sunday morning.
I got you.
And right off the bat, I go, oh, it's 45 minutes. This is going to be great. I can just tell. I already know I love these guys, and they've just delivered a full album. This isn't, not knocking demos and EPs or anything, but man, you see that and you're like, okay, we're off to a good start.
Yeah.
I start listening to it and I can't believe it. I loved all their live stuff and everything. I start listening to it. I'm like, I can't believe it. I cannot believe how good this is. These guys are they're real classic stoner doom, but they have a way of, in a 15-minute song, they have a way of kind of mixing up the riff so that it's like kind of 3 songs almost, but it totally flows together great. Okay. I mean, they just have this real amazing ability, and they can break into these really amazing guitar solos. They even have sections where they break into like bass solos. They get the bass player like a minute and a half or 2 minutes to do his thing.
Nice.
And then even this isn't probably going to sound like it's good because I won't describe it right, but they have a singer who's very unique, and the only word I have to kind of describe it is that he kind of sounds like he's punk. That doesn't sound right. And I wish I could. I have to think of like a better word, but he's kind of angry and he's got this edge to his vocals, but it's not growling. It's nothing out of like the black metal scene or anything like that. So it's kind of hard for me to describe how it sounds. Maybe
even like a little bit of a sneer. Like there's an underlying something.
Yeah, no, there you go. Right. Well, and actually this band kind of, a little bit came out of the punk scene, and there's a lot of that in Indonesia. Like they don't quite define the genres as clearly as we would here. It's because it's a very small scene of bands,
right?
And they are underground, right? Because you think about the government there. They're not underground in the sense that we haven't heard of them. They're underground in the sense of they really are underground.
Yeah, they'll get arrested.
Totally. So they've got to really be supportive of each other. So there's a lot of bands from different sounds that'll play together one night because that's just how they do it. You know, there's not enough bands to say like, okay, tonight's Stoner Night or something like that.
Yep.
So these guys, you've got these really talented musicians. They're not afraid to kind of pull in some different sounds together, and then they just totally knocked it out of the park. Cool. And so this week I've been pulling their CD together. We're also going to do a tape. I hope all this is going to get announced next week. I'm super excited about it. They just really sound amazing. They got a killer album cover. And I mean, I couldn't be more excited. I mean, they just sound fantastic. I'm excited to get their music out there. I know the Swamp Krewe is going to get the CD and they're going to love it. Nice. Of course, they get the digital too. So, I mean, that's kind of what I try to do with that subscription, because you were asking me about the Swamp Krewe. You know, it's a group effort, really, because I couldn't do any of this without their support, you know, right. Because it isn't just the fact that, you know, the money is huge because that's how the CDs get made.
Sure.
That's super important. And it's also the moral support. They go out there and they leave these, you know, comments on these album pages. And, you know, that's huge to a new band, to find out that people like your music. That's a huge, huge boost.
Absolutely it is. It really is. And, you know, I hear it every once in a while, you know, oh, my God, thanks for playing us or what have you. And it's a great thing. Oh, God, I got to find out who this is. We might have to talk after about that.
Oh yeah, no. I'll tell you, but I can't. I don't want to blab it before we have everything else up. But talk to me after the show.
And you know what? Yes, and there is a band that I'm not even going to mention where they're from. Not from next to me. How about that? And they sent me something that is going to be out in about 2 months. Oh my God! Oh, it sounds so good. I'll have to. We'll trade. Yeah, I'll tell you mine,
yeah.
and you tell me yours.
There we go.
Okay, so Fuzzy, to just kind of wrap it up here. So we've got the Swamp Krewe. We've got 100+ releases that people can go through. So is Bandcamp the best way to get all this material, or the website? Like, what would you suggest?
I would suggest you go to my Bandcamp site, which you can get to. You can get to everything if you just go to theswamprecords.com, because
right.
That'll link you to my Bandcamp and the subscription and the merch and all that stuff. And for $5, you will have 130 digital albums added to your Bandcamp instantaneously. Yours to keep forever. So if you drop off after the couple months, you get to keep all that killer music. For $7, you'll get a CD every month with a lot of stickers and swag and fun stuff. And I have some killer show posters going out next month.
Cool.
So just a lot of fun stuff going on, and the music is killer.
Thank you. And for those that don't know, I got a message last night from Schaefer. And Schaefer is in the band Dear Lord out in California. And he also does his one-man project called Bloodshot Buffalo, which I just interviewed him. He sent me a message last night. I don't know if this means anything to anybody, and it's kind of at the end, but if you listen to this at half speed, we sound very, very drunk. I was like, all right, whatever. I just kind of took it for what it was. And I listened to it at half speed. I'm like, oh my God, we sound like we're, like we just polished off a fifth of JD or something, Now, and one more quick thing. So you and the missus are going through, and this is how the name was created. You were driving through southern states, is that correct?
Oh, when I came up with the idea for Fuzzy Cracklins? Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Now, I've made that journey. I've talked about it a little bit before. Did you get any good boudin when you were over there? Like when you're cutting through Louisiana?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I don't know that I'm the expert in how to pronounce it, but I thought it was like boudin. like Steely, try to make it rhyme with Steely Dan.
That sounds good too. I'm not always great at pronunciation.
Oh, I love that stuff. Oh my God, yeah. Oh, the food down there is incredible, and the drinks. They got a lot of great drinks down there.
Oh, there is. I just remember like it's rare to see. Well, here's a convenience store, and here's sausage. Not a hot dog, but not a bun. But here's just some sausage here. Enjoy. Oh, my God, the hot and spicy. I'm a spice fan, so... Oh, so fucking good, man. So good.
Absolutely.
So, Fuzzy, thank you so much for your time, and we're going to look forward to the next releases coming up. You get the chance. Get in the Swamp Krewe. Have a subscription. Throw a few bucks. You know, hey, you're not going to the show anyway. Instead of spending it on some overpriced beer at a place, you get to take the price of one beer, and you pay for the subscription. No doubt. You can pay double for, shit, you go place, like, there's nothing worse than seeing a tall can of PBR for $14 at an event. It sucks.
Well, Chris, thank you so much for having me on. I love your show. I love the interviews, and I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. I really do.
Thanks, brother. We'll talk soon, man.
You got it, man.
Thanks to Fuzzy for giving us his time. Really appreciate it. Also, Ian from No Masters Audio, thank you for preparing this episode and mixing it and making it sound awesome. Really appreciate it, brother. doomtombpodcast@gmail.com. That is how to reach us. Doomtombpodcast across all forms of social media. Craniumradio.com. I have a show 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time each and every Sunday. And right after that, we will be putting on an archived episode of the Doom Tomb Podcast. You never know what's going to come up. Might even be a bonus episode. You never know. So tune in, find out, get in the chat room at craniumradio.com. Thanks a bunch. We have another episode coming up around the corner. So until that time, next time, meantime, and in between time, enjoy yourselves. We'll go to the show someday. I swear, it'll happen sometime. Stay healthy, and above all, stay heavy.